The boy they mocked would one day make kings tremble. The child they pushed aside, the son no one expected to survive, would grow into a warrior whose name would spread across southern Africa like thunder before a storm. And when his enemies finally understood who he had become, it was already too late. Long before armies moved at his command, before thousands of warriors raised their spears at a single gesture, before the Zulu kingdom became one of the most feared powers in Africa, Shaka was simply a boy, unwanted, humiliated, and forced to live with a pain that would shape every part of his life. He was born in the late 18th century in the rolling grasslands of what is now South Africa, a land of cattle, clans, and traditions older than memory. In that world, birth mattered, family mattered, legitimacy mattered. And Shaka entered life under a shadow he did not create. His father was Senzangakona, a chief of the Zulu clan, respected, ambitious, and conscious of reputation. His mother was Nandi, proud, intelligent, and far stronger than most people realized. Their relationship began outside the formal customs expected by the community, and when Nandi became pregnant, whispers spread quickly. Some doubted the child was real, others mocked her. And the story was told that when her stomach began to swell, people claimed it was not pregnancy at all, but a sickness caused by an intestinal beetle known as an ishaka. The child born from that humiliation would carry a name drawn from that insult, Shaka. From the beginning, his existence reminded others of something they preferred to deny. He was living proof of a relationship they wanted to dismiss, and children often bear the weight of adult pride. At first, his father acknowledged him, but acknowledgement is not the same as acceptance. The politics of leadership are rarely kind. Chiefs make decisions not only with their hearts, but with the expectations of those around them. As pressure grew, Nandi and her son became increasingly unwelcome. The looks changed first, then the words, then the treatment. What began as gossip slowly hardened into rejection. For young Shaka, childhood was not safety. It was a lesson in how quickly people can turn against those they consider inconvenient. He saw the way his mother was treated, the ridicule, the quiet cruelty, the loneliness of being tolerated rather than embraced. And he learned something early. The world does not always make room for the vulnerable. Sometimes it tests them until they either disappear or become something no one can ignore. Eventually, the pressure became too much. Nandi and her son were forced to leave. There was no ceremony, no dignity, no warm farewell, just departure. A mother carrying humiliation and a boy old enough to remember every expression on the faces that watched them go. Exile changes a child, especially when that child understands he is being rejected not for what he has done, but for who he is. They moved from place to place, depending on the mercy of relatives and allied communities. Life became uncertain. Food was not always plentiful. Acceptance was never guaranteed. And at each stop, Shaka had to learn how to survive in environments where belonging was fragile. Some children are shaped by comfort, others are shaped by struggle. Shaka belonged to the second group. He watched his mother endure hardship with fierce determination. Nandi refused to surrender to humiliation, refused to let shame define her. Her pride became a form of protection, and her son absorbed every lesson. Strength was not optional, it was survival. But children are still children, and Shaka did not escape mockery. Other boys teased him for his birth, his circumstances, his mother's status. They laughed at him, provoked him, treated him as though he were less than they were. Those moments left marks deeper than bruises, because ridicule has a way of embedding itself inside memory. The world saw an awkward boy carrying emotional wounds, but beneath the surface, something else was forming. Observation, discipline, and an intense desire never to feel powerless again. He became physically strong, not because life was easy, but because hardship demanded it. Herding cattle across long distances built endurance. Walking barefoot over rough terrain toughened his body. Rejection hardened his mind. And slowly, the mocked boy began changing. Not outwardly at first. The transformation started in silence, in the way he watched others, in the way he remembered insults, in the way he studied strength wherever he saw it. Years passed, and the political landscape around him continued shifting. Southern Africa at the time was a world of competing chiefdoms, alliances, rivalries, and constant pressure over land and cattle. Leadership was fragile, and survival often depended on military skill. In such a world, talent mattered, and Shaka possessed unusual talent. Eventually, he and his mother found refuge among the Matetwa, a far more powerful confederation led by the respected leader Dingiswayo. This moment would change everything. Dingiswayo was not simply a chief, he was a strategist, a man with vision, someone who recognized potential in people others overlooked. Where many saw a difficult young outsider, Dingiswayo saw discipline, intensity, and intelligence. Under his protection, Shaka was given the opportunity to serve as a warrior, and for the first time, he entered an environment where ability mattered more than birth. The transformation accelerated. Military life suited him. The same endurance forged through hardship now became an advantage. He trained relentlessly, pushing himself harder than others. He studied formations, timing, terrain, and the psychology of fear. Most warriors fought because it was expected. Shaka fought as though every battle was an answer to every insult he had ever endured. He quickly distinguished himself, not merely through strength, but through courage and tactical insight. He was willing to move faster, strike harder, and endure more than most men around him. Dingiswayo noticed, and recognition from a powerful leader gave Shaka something he had rarely experienced: validation. For a boy who had grown up being told he was a mistake, this mattered more than anyone realized. Yet success did not erase memory. The wounds of childhood remained. And often, the strongest people are those who have spent years proving something to themselves. Shaka's ambition was not casual, it was deeply personal. He had known humiliation, he had known exclusion, he had known what it felt like to be dismissed before he ever had a chance to speak. Now, for the first time, he possessed a path towards significance, and he intended to walk it fully. As his reputation grew, stories spread among warriors. They spoke of his fearlessness, his physical toughness, his ability to read battle as though he were seeing patterns invisible to others. Some admired him, others feared him, but almost everyone recognized that he was different. There was an intensity in him that felt larger than ordinary ambition. Meanwhile, his relationship with Nandi remained central. She had suffered beside him when he was powerless. Now she watched him transform into the most formidable leader the Zulu had ever known. Her presence grounded him. In many ways, she remained the emotional center of his life. Others saw a king. She still saw the boy who walked beside her through humiliation and exile. As the kingdom expanded, so did Shaka's reputation. Warriors from defeated groups were often absorbed into his army, increasing both manpower and influence. Some joined willingly, impressed by his strength. Others joined because resistance had become impossible. Either way, the Zulu state grew rapidly. With growth came wealth, cattle, territory, and political leverage. Chiefs who once considered the Zulu insignificant now faced a difficult choice: submit, ally, or risk destruction. And still, Shaka pushed forward. He believed momentum was essential. Success creates opportunity, but hesitation can destroy it. So he maintained pressure, training harder, planning further, demanding more. To his followers, he appeared unstoppable. To his enemies, he seemed almost superhuman. Stories spread of forced marches, surprise attacks, and warriors whose discipline shattered larger forces. Some were exaggerated, as legends often are, but the underlying truth remained. Shaka had built something astonishing, and he was only beginning to understand the full extent of his own power. Yet power changes the emotional landscape around a leader. Admiration grows, but so does fear. Loyalty deepens, but so does dependence.
The stronger he became, the more people began measuring their futures by his moods and decisions. This is the burden of extraordinary leadership. The personal becomes political. The emotional becomes national. A single decision can alter thousands of lives. Shaka accepted that burden completely. He did not seek a quiet reign. He sought transformation. And transformation rarely occurs without disruption. Villages that joined the Zulu gained protection and structure, but they also entered a system defined by strict expectations, military service, obedience, and total commitment to the state. For many, the benefits were real: stability, strength, belonging to a rising power. For others, the cost felt immense. History often remembers empires through their achievements, but ordinary people